Today in the crypto space, we're seeing a nice green bounce to the upside. Bitcoin up approximately 3%, Ethereum up approximately 4%, and the rest of the crypto space, the altcoins, deep in the green. We have Solana, AVAX, New York Protocol, Aptos, and many others definitely grinding to higher levels. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about a project that many people are talking about, and that project is called Microvisionchain Space. So you know what? Let's talk about the news. Let's analyze the charts and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. We see that the market is showing some strength today. Congrats for those of you that have been buying a few dips here and there. And today we're going to be talking about Microvisionchain Space. Guys, I know I said many people talking about it, but the people that are talking about it are individuals that are part of the Discord. We've been talking about space and looking at, the potential bounce and, calculating our retirements and our Lambos and all of this kind of stuff based on a Microvisionchain Space bounce. The reality is that space took a big dip, bit of FUD. I think the FUD was definitely overreaction and, not really merited at the end of the day. I think that reality is a lot of projects go through this. Space in general is one of those projects that are part of a decent narrative, part of the Bitcoin narrative, competitor to Mint Layer, for example, definitely bringing its own value propositions, building upon the Bitcoin idea. And the reality is, space right now, in my opinion, is still undervalued. Of course, undervalued is where you want to be buying. You want to be buying low and selling high. Guys, stay tuned. We'll be taking a look at the space chart in a second, but let's begin by looking at the overall market first. Then we'll take a look at Bitcoin and then space. So market cap wise, we're definitely falling. You can see that the market cap has been falling, but however, we did get a nice bounce today, which is really nice. What I don't like is the trading volume. I don't like the fact that we're getting a bounce with low volume, right? We want to see market action. We want to see market participation involved in here as we're seeing the market cap rise. But it could be that we could get some short squeezes. We could see some people FOMO in and ultimately see the volume kick in, which would be ideal, for us to see the market cap rise even further. And especially as we see Bitcoin breaking previous levels of resistance and, even previous levels of support, back testing and bouncing and all that kind of good stuff. Reality is Bitcoin's doing great. A nice recovery here would be ideal. Above the 62,300, great stuff there. Guys, if you missed out on my live stream yesterday night, we talked about this setup. We were one step ahead. We did exactly what we needed to do to prepare ourselves for this Bitcoin bounce. I identified the descending wedge on the 1 hour. I gave you the setup. I gave you the idea. And if you did scale into some of those altcoins, buying altcoins or getting into the market when Bitcoin is potentially at support, you get the best risk to reward ratio opportunity because you know where to put those stop losses, right? Ultimately, Bitcoin right now is showing strength, and Ethereum is also showing strength, also pumping up approximately 4%. And that gives us a green light for the altcoins to potentially move as well. Look at Solana, up 6%. We have Dogecoin and many others. We have Sheep, some good gainers here at 10%. I know that in the last 7 days, we can see that a lot of them are still down for, the 7-day count. However, guys, we're recovering. We're doing okay. Like New York Protocol, last night was down 20%. And I made that clear. That's an opportunity. All of a sudden, we're up 6%. And we've seen that basically that losses doesn't look as bad anymore, right? So it's looking pretty good. This is what you need to be looking for, is opportunities where you see the projects showing strength. Aptos is doing great, 12% for today. BitTensor, 16%. You can see we're almost in double-digit gains, right? Look at these three right here: Sui, Aptos, BitTensor. Great projects doing amazing work, right? This is what we want to see a market wide, right? Not just these strong projects. In fact, Aptos is still potentially in a great opportunity to be buying in. It is almost $5 billion market cap, so just keep in mind we're talking about larger cap altcoins right there. Caspa still not looking the greatest, forming its bottom perhaps. Stacks grinding up based on the Bitcoin narrative, that's a good sign. And as we keep on going down, we see Dog with Hat, we see many other. IMX is okay. We Arbitrum, Optimism, all these layer 2s are doing good based on the Ethereum. We have Injective waking up here, which is nice. Phantom also getting a nice bounce. But if you look at these fractals, guys, we're not out of the woods yet. The reality is we're still making lower lows and lower highs on these fractals. You can see that we're not getting change of character. So what we really want to do is wait for the character to change in the price action where we're making some higher highs and higher lows. Now we could be getting it on low time frames, but we want to make sure that we have that zoomed out vision, because ultimately we want is a big structural change so that we can start breaking up and getting into an altcoin season for these alts, and Bitcoin potentially getting back to its previous highs at about 72 more or less. That would be epic if we could see the market kind of reverse that way. Say doing great, 8%. So a lot of good projects, right? Even Mantra has no chill. I wanted an entry so badly, and this thing keeps on moving. And guess what, guys? I am not going to FOMO. I don't hold any. I would like to have some, part of the real world asset narrative. It's up 10% for the day. So what I try to do is look for projects that have a lot of strength. If you look at the videos that I've been posting the last few days, it's a lot of them have to do with projects that, despite the negativity, have been going sideways. Sui, for example, and I scrolled right through Sui. It's doing great today, and that's because it's been going sideways despite the dip. It's been holding up. And what do you think is going to happen when we get some green price action, right? Celestia is doing good too, 13%. And as we keep on going down, Beam, nice move to the upside. Beam had a great risk to reward ratio, great opportunity there for Beam. And again, look, Aerodrome doing good. A lot of projects are doing good, bouncing off of horizontals. And I know a lot of us are worried, is it just a dead cat bounce? Are we going to get this continuation? Are we finally getting bullish and getting that altcoin season? Obviously, guys, we try to get an edge in this market. We definitely try to stay one step ahead. So feel free to join me live tonight at 8 p.m. EST, where we take a look at the markets, we take a look at Bitcoin dominance and so on. And more importantly, I take requests. If you have any projects you want me to take a look at, feel free to make sure you join, and feel free to make those requests, and I'll definitely put them in top priority. All right, guys, let's move on. Let's take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin, because I know you're here to talk about charts. So we'll quickly look at Bitcoin, and then we'll talk about space. I know a lot of people are talking about space, and only on our Discord are people talking about space. At the current moment, we do see Bitcoin getting a nice little bounce here on this horizontal line. We talk about this horizontal line quite a bit in the last little while. The question is it going to hold up finally as horizontal support and finally get the price bouncing off of it, springing right off of it, getting to higher levels? Let's talk about this in a little bit more detail. At the end of the day, guys, we should be accustomed to taking risk at great levels of support. We don't have no certainty. I wasn't certain. There's no certainty. I'm not certain that we're going to get a bounce here, but there was a good chance. And I'm willing to take, positions when there's good chances in my favor, right? On the daily, things are still looking good. Again, bullish, descending, broadening wedge, big picture, massive cup and handle, awesome, and so on and so forth. And last night, we started zooming in a little bit because we wanted to see what was really happening right into here. Because if it does end up being a bullish structure on larger time frames, imagine getting back to 72 and eventually breaking out, guys. We want to make sure that we have our positions. So we got into the 4-hour and we started looking at this scenario right here. Again, using the previous horizontal levels as potential support. And we were talking about a breakout, guys. I saw this level. I was looking at this as a descending wedge. We broke the trend. We got nice bounce off support and we sprung. And here we are right now talking about Bitcoin at about $62,384 when we were very fearful down here. Of course, the civil unrest brought us a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the markets. And Bitcoin being crypto in general, being a speculative tech asset, definitely does, create a lot of volatility when there's civil unrest. So this is something that we have to understand. Now, if we could quickly go on to the 1 hour, you can see the descending wedge was a lot clearer here. I could have expected it to get a little bit more mature, maybe come down for another low or something like that. But guess what, guys? It bounced off of that horizontal perfectly at 60,489, close enough to that 60,500 level that I do appreciate and I have been hoping for support, and we sprung. Beautiful, right? So now what? We actually broke above the previous highs because we did get a rejection here earlier on, and we got a rejection, got bought up so quick. The bull stepped in, bought it up. Okay, so this is like watching a sport here, guys. At the end of the day, we're looking for a bigger breakout. We are obviously looking for a break of 62,600 and continuation to the upside. We just have to understand that peaks and valleys along the way do come around, and we need to be prepared. What I don't like is the lack of volume in this move, right? We're actually diminishing in volume as we trek to the upside. We need a short squeeze. We need some FOMO. We need some market participation. We need to see the daily starting to really start breaking previous highs. And it may be that we get massive volume once we start breaking 72. The reason being is I feel like a lot of people are worried about the next phase of what's going to happen in the Middle East. To be honest, it's fair because we don't know what the next step is. You know, who's going to make the next move. Okay, just keep in mind, as long as we're above the horizontal, this white line and the 200 daily EMA, I remain bullish on Bitcoin. It's looking pretty good right now. Getting into fresh longs on lower time frames is ideal because you can probably get into a structure. The daily is still not bad because at the end of the day, you're waiting for a bigger move. But just understand, we've been pumping the last little while. If we close this daily candle like this, bullish, guys. Of course, we're going to be closing the daily candle in about 4.5 hours right during the live stream, so feel free to join and we'll talk about what's going on there. Now, speaking of that, guys, I'm going to spend a little bit more time than usual on Bitcoin because, of course, Bitcoin narrative is important. And space is part of that Bitcoin narrative. Now, I'm going to quickly drag this image over because I did talk about this yesterday in the live stream about the tweezer. Sorry, not the tweezer. The spinning top type of pattern on the candlestick pattern. Sorry, guys. Look at this. Look at this beautiful bullish pattern that we got right here. It was bearish, then it was bullish, and then sprung. Okay, so just keep in mind, sometimes these things are great signals and they work out. And of course, when you get used to identifying these patterns and structures and candlestick arrangements, it starts to give you an edge in the market, 100%. Okay, so keep that in mind. Bitcoin narrative could be very hot right now. We're seeing stacks wake up. I'm wondering what's going on with Tectum, Mint Layer, and of course today, space. Let's take a look at space. Now, space, at the end of the day, let me zoom out a little bit. And let me rearrange this just a little bit so we can kind of get a good picture, because reality is space is in a scenario. The scenario is with space is that it did fall significantly. This was a lot of FUD. The FUD kicked in right around here at about $18.76. That's when a lot of people were worried about Microvisionchain, that, you know, team members were selling and taking profit, this and that they were getting overpaid, because reality is nobody expected Microvisionchain to run up so fast and so hard, right? It peaked at about $35. Let's be real here, guys. Okay, so if you were an early buyer or even earlier than this, you know, the reality is you were in some major profits. And at this point, you know, developers probably, you know, got into an agreement, and obviously as the price was going higher, they were making lots of money, obviously. But that's the name of the game, guys. If the project is doing well, people that are working on the project are investing their time, right? Ultimately, and they're taking risk also by agreeing with the contract that basically gets them paid in tokens. We have to understand what about if it went the opposite way? Those developers will be working for free pretty much. So we got to understand there's risk either way. So I think the FUD was definitely overdone and definitely over exaggerated. And the reality is right now is the time that we need to be focusing. So what I'm going to be doing is introducing this mess again, and what I'm going to do is going to be cleaning it up because I feel like it's due. Okay, we need to kind of like kind of do this in a way, right? Because there's a lot of little price action that, you know, I did put in based on previous levels that I bought into, and obviously you guys know I take profits, guys. We should be comfortable taking profit. I took a decent amount of profit here and de-risked, and then, you know, obviously I was looking for support levels. I was hoping for this to be support. Didn't work out. I still feel like this is going to be a very emotional level zone right here between 14 and 18, right around here. So I'm keeping that in mind. All of this, I'm going to leave a couple, but I'm going to remove all of this, and all I'm going to leave is this bottom right here, and I'm going to remove this because that's useless, and I'm cleaning this chart up with you guys. Okay, so I still feel like this is interesting, and I'm going to kind of put that down just a little bit, and I'm going to note that this is also an empty space, an empty volume gap, so that's very important based on more current price action. I'm interested in what's happening here. Okay, so I'm going to put another horizontal line so we can make this even clearer, and I'm interested in putting a arrow right here just so that I'm very aware that these are zones of potential resistance or TP. You might want to take a bit of profit or rotate into something else, maybe within the same narrative, or maybe something to do with Microvisionchain and its ecosystem as it does grow or develop. Let's move on, right? Let's continue going down here. As you can see that as I'm stretching out the price action, this doesn't look much like a floor price. But when I leave it fairly neutral in its neutral state where we include this whole thing, it does look like it's forming a floor price. As you can see, let me again put this out of your way. You can see that the price is flatlining, right? That's called a floor price. But once you start stretching it out, obviously you start to see the peaks and the valleys, which makes a lot of sense when you're trying to understand what levels you want to get into, especially horizontals. You can see we have a little empty space here. We do see that, well, there's a bit of volume into this level. There, you can see we got a nice spike of volume into the pump to the upside. And now this retracement right back down here on the daily puts us at the point of control. Now, I do want to identify one thing, that as we continue stretching, guys, I'm literally stretching this out because this is the floor price, and I really want to show you that really what we want to worry about is breaking down again, because then you know what, it's no longer a double bottom, it's no longer a scenario where we can trust this floor price. We're getting into dip discovery again, we're falling again, we're getting into a level of which we don't know where we're going to be holding support, and things look really, really bad. Okay, so let's just keep that in mind here briefly. Now we can obviously get into lower time frames. We can get onto the 4 hour, starting to look like maybe the price action is getting respected here. Maybe we can get into the 1 hour, maybe we can get into much lower time frames and start looking at the 5 minute. And you get what I mean here, guys. We have to really, in my opinion, space should be thought about as a punt. Okay, a punt where you're going to look big picture and you're going to be like, look, I am willing to take a bit of risk down here, because if it does get its bounce, okay, if it does get its bounce, we are in the money. We're definitely doing really good, right? Let's hypothetically say we buy a position right into here, we build a position, and we start looking at taking profit right here at $14 at best. Okay, modestly, let's put it that way, modestly. Now we could put a stop loss right underneath here for now, because I feel like I need to zoom in to make that a little bit better. So let's do that once and for all so that we can get that out of the way. Look, stop loss right into here. Let's put it right here. If we get to this level, we got to get out. If we want to get our entry proper, we want to get our entry right now. And look at your risk to reward ratio. At the end of the day, you're taking a bit of a hit, 20% hit. If we do come down lower, look at this. I'm trying to really be accurate here. If we do come down, you're taking a 20% hit. But look at the risk to reward ratio right now. It's 88 to 1. Okay, let me zoom back out and kind of make this back into perspective so we can see the reward. That's the risk. Okay, you can even give yourself a bit more wiggle room if you like for that stop loss, but the reality is we're being modest even with the TP. Okay, so the TP being right here, we're not talking about previous highs, all-time highs, price discovery. We're talking about just getting to this level at about $15 or so, and we're talking about 1,700%. I know it sounds crazy, but you can understand why people on the Discord are trying to calculate their Lambo purchase, because the reality is that these opportunities, these punts, could actually make you tons of gains if we see a project with great fundamentals recuperate from FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And a lot of the times FUD is just nonsense. Now, I did go on the Microvisionchain Discord, and the Discord is pretty much dead in the water. The Telegram is not bad. They got a lot happening in there. A lot of people asking questioning why there's such a dip and when are we going to start moving and pumping up. I know they got into a bit of a partnership with an Asian company, which is great, and I believe that the Microvisionchain team primarily is from China, and I think that it may get some inflow based on the China narrative, cutting rates in China and all that stuff. So that's something that you might want to keep in mind. But ultimately, what keeps me most interested is, what about if we again modestly just get back to previous highs, right? Modestly, based on the Bitcoin narrative. Like, we know that a lot of projects that are a part of the Bitcoin narrative haven't really even got their moment. Again, Mintlayer, Tech them, and so many others. right? The Bitcoin narrative has been a little bit slow moving to, or even to be picking up. Really, it didn't really pick up that hard. So what about if it gets back to previous highs? We're talking about 4,000%, like crazy opportunities here. Just with a small bag, you can definitely make some real gains here. Now I know that I'm being, wow, that looks amazing. What about price discovery? What about, who knows what this bull run is going to do? Who knows what kind of partnerships they have up their sleeve to get this project going again? And the reality is, any dev that has gotten any unlocks or any tokens, they sold already, guys. Everybody in this level already capitulated. Only hardcore individuals that are not selling are still holding, and as you can see, it's not the majority because we came down pretty hard. Now the question is, who's accumulating in this volume? What are these goons doing down here to actually build a position? Let's take a look at some of these oscillators. What's interesting to me about the oscillators as well, and I'm looking at the trend oscillator right now, is that we're kind of diverging here. We're in a divergent state. We're slightly making lower lows on the price action as the momentum is shifting to the upside. And if you look at the background of this oscillator, I'm talking about the expansions. Look at the red expansions. This was massively deep, but less and less as the price kept on falling, to the point that what we're doing right now is waiting for follow through. We're waiting for a green expansion, similar to what happened here and here. We're waiting for a green expansion to the upside, and where we can see the momentum actually get overbought and get the orange line, the volatility line, overbought as well. Let's hypothetically say that we see the orange line get overbought the same that it did last time. If you buy right now, okay, just let's be more modest again. If you get into a position right now, the reality is, if it gets overbought and even goes back to the previous high, this little price action right here, where this oscillator got to the top of the overbought condition, you already doubled your money. You could take half on the double, and your position can become risk-free very quickly, and you can let the rest run 4,000%. And that is the ideal scenario when you're taking punts. You de-risk quick because it's very risky, and ultimately you can make some great reward. Now, if it does come back down, let's say back to the bottom of the range, guess what? You have your initial investment off the table. Who cares? You can make some critical decisions to deploy it back in, and then you have double the amount. And that's how individuals trade the markets at very risky levels, is because invalidation is so clear. Your stop loss is clearly defined, with mitigating tons and tons of risk. So I appreciate the divergence on momentum, expansions, and obviously the momentum line, the purple line, is diverging. We're getting multiple indications of divergence here. And if we look at the trend oscillator, you can see that the trend oscillator is also looking pretty good, because as the price has been falling, we are slowly seeing the EMAs trend to the upside. And at this current moment, it is having a difficult time getting overbought or getting into a bullish control zone, as it has done in the past, as you can see. But what about if it does, guys? What about if we finally get into the top half of the oscillator? Let me get rid of this, and let me show you what I mean here. Let me just make this a bit smaller, and I'll show you what I mean based on the oscillator. You can see that over here we were bullish, then we came down bearish. What about if we get bullish again? What about if, and we see these EMAs, right, that we came down, now we're moving up, and we get into the bullish control zone, which is above the 0% mark of the oscillator? It would be super healthy. Again, it's all about your risk tolerance. If you double your money, take half on the double, right? Or trail up a stop loss into the green and let it run. At best case scenario, make it a risk-free trade by putting a triggered stop loss well into profit, and that way you can walk away and sleep at night. At the end of the day, Microvisionchain has a lot of good potential for a reversal, because I think that FUD is nonsense. But at the end of the day, guys, always understand your invalidation regardless of the thesis that you have. It's important to stay one step ahead of the market. Guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor, slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join the Discord, guys. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free, guys. I'm going to be live tonight at 8 p.m. EST talking about crypto news and price action. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.